How's it going, party people, and welcome. I'm Sarah Matthews, and in this video, we're going to be reviewing this lovely telescope right here.
Yes, Sarah, this is by all means a wonderful telescope, but you already did the review, right? So how about you hand me over now this stuff, and then I can do a review. And let's see if my findings differ from yours. Okay?
Well, that's all good. All right, let us grab some snacks, and we will get this party started.
Hey, this is View into Space. I'm Sascha from Switzerland, so grüezi miteinander and thanks for watching my channel. So yes, Sarah has already reviewed the 103 APO from ASKAR and she has done a wonderful job. So I neither want to compete with her, nor do I want to try to do it exactly the same. And so we will do definitely things differently now that it's actually more entertaining for you. And still it will be very interesting if I get to the same outcomes as she has. So what will we do differently? First of all, I will split the whole thing in two videos. In this video, I will only do the unboxing and we'll review what we can see, what we can touch without shooting. The main reason for that is that we still have lots and lots and lots of clouds here in Switzerland, so it will still take a few weeks until there's clear sky and I can actually really test the APO outside. The second thing we will do differently, if you have already watched unboxing videos of me, you know that. I don't have such a fancy table as Sarah has, so we will do it right on the floor. Also serves the purpose that nothing can get dropped. What's on the floor is already on the floor. But on a more serious note, as you know, I already have the FRA400 of ASKAR. And I think to give it really a different touch, I want to compare these two scopes. And while you will say now how you want to compare a 400mm scope to a 700mm scope, I still feel it's worthwhile because it's two different series, the FRA series versus the APO series. And as you will see, we can actually configure the 103 APO in a way that it will really compete with the FRA400. So with that, let's get rock bottom at the floor and start unpacking. Okay, and here's the box. This is really cool. It's sturdy. It's probably more practical than these metal suitcases which sometimes the telescopes are in, which I feel that they're a little bit too heavy, a little bit unpractical. And this here, that's really something you can take with you. So let's open it. And that's what in it. First of all, it's nice cut out styrofoam, which really protects the telescope very well. Then we have a certificate. With the inspection results. There's another quality certificate. There's some stickers, so like Apple. Product warranty and the manual. I think we simply have to accept that real thick manuals like they existed in the time where I was young, they do not exist anymore. That's just more a leaflet. But well, on the other side, I think a telescope is rather self-explanatory. So let's put that on the side. And here is it, still packed in plastic. I really haven't taken this out until now. I really wanted to do the unboxing together with you. So let's take it out now. Let's put the suitcase away. And let's take now the plastic away, which means we also have to take the brackets here off. They go really nicely down and the screws don't fall off. That's great. And now we can put it back here in the brackets. So that's from my point of view already a very nice touch. How easy this was to actually open and close the brackets here. And also, by the way, a really nice touch here that the focuser is actually protected by this cover here. You can take this away, but also says something about quality. So before we start now to have a look at it, let's put the FRA400 right beside it. Let's do that like this here. And I think size-wise, shows you how impressive this scope here is. And let's now look at the differences of these two scopes. And that also shows you then the pros and the cons. And I think let's start with the front. By the way, also here you obviously see the difference in size. Quite interesting. And both have actually the same style of lens tab. That's already with the FRA400. It fits very well. It's nice metal. With the APO, it feels like it fits a little bit better, but that might just be because it's new, but it's exactly the same material. It has here the same inlay that actually helps to make that it fits nicely. So I would say that is completely similar for both series. When we look at the dew shield, obviously what you see here is something that was very much requested. Also here, also sometimes a little bit criticized, that it doesn't have a screw to fix it. And that's here available. So I think that's great. By the way, it took quite an effort to actually put the dew shield in front, which from my point says that actually probably, at least as long as it's new, you wouldn't even need the screw. It would hold in place. So, but it's really nice and snug. So that's also great. And I think obviously what you also see from a proportion point of view, I would say that this dew shield is longer, also proportionate, than this here. So that's a very solid dew shield, and that's definitely very much appreciated. Now, next thing here, the brackets, they look beautiful, and that's already something that I said in my review. What I really like is here the coating, the color. It doesn't change at all. It stays beautiful, even being out in the sunshine. I'm sure here is too. So what I really like, as you can see here, you have only regular screws, which makes it a little bit cumbersome to open it, to close it. So I really like here the system that they use for the APO series with these knobs, which make it, as I just experienced, much easier to open and close it. Then obviously on top, you have here only this little handlebar. You could also with a screw put something on, but here having this dedicated actually that you can put a guide scope on, and so also with two screws already included to lock it down. I think that's really cool. So it's really a multi-purpose grip that you have here in front. By the way, I like the orange color. I think red, even it's a very nice red here, but at one point the red also gets a little bit boring. I think it's quite cool that Askar actually chose a different color for the APO series. It makes it easy to recognize. It's not such a common color that you see in the field, so it's a little bit of novelty. I think that's cool. What I actually, it's criticism on a very high level. What I obviously would have liked if, like with the FRA400, they would have done also this part here in orange. From my point of view, would have looked even cooler, but at the end we're using this telescope for shooting and not for decoration. And I think the next part that is to mention is the dovetail. If you look here at the 103 APO, you see that they actually included a quite long dovetail, which is great. Solid, there's nothing to complain about, even a little bit an ASKAR sign before, also the same orange. I think that's great. And it's also great because if you would have to buy here one, you wouldn't get it in orange, right? So that it's consistent, I think that's a very good decision to put a nice dovetail on it. And also compare here with the FRA400, where everybody criticized that the dovetail was too short. And actually also I put here in an SV Boni dovetail on it and some spacers. These are Prima Luce Lab. But so I had to buy some custom stuff here. So that's also additional cost, you know. And for that, it's anyway an absolute bargain, this scope, with around $1,000, I think it is at the moment. Having then, even for this low price, such a great dovetail on it, which is also not coming for free, I think that's really cool, and it makes this package, this offer, even more attractive. Now, if we go here on the back, you see with the FRA400 that you have one additional holder here for example, your ASI Air or whatever else you have to add. And here with the 103 APO, you have even two. And they look extremely solid. This is no cheap stuff. This is really very well made. And with that, we come even more to the back, to the focuser. Obviously, with the FRA400, I have already the EAF on it. I have not yet installed it, obviously, on the 103 APO. I will have to do that. But let me tell you this. I never, ever had an issue with the FRA400 focuser. So, absolutely happy with it. And when we look now here at the focuser of the 103 APO, it goes really, really smooth. So great feeling to actually pull that out. We can go out 10 centimeters, so that's quite a lot. And what we have here is we have this degree for the rotation. And we do not have that here on the FRA400. We also can rotate, no problem at all. But we do not have this degree marking. And having this, the little white line here and the degree marking, obviously helps to do this exactly. And also this, it's firm, it's precise, it's smooth, it's really nice to turn it here. On the back here, we have then the possibility by default to add a 1.25 inch eyepiece. If you have something like that at home, like an eyepiece, I don't know for what, but if you would have one, you could actually use it. And the same goes if we open up these screws here for the 2-inch eyepiece. Again, no clue why you would have an eyepiece, but if you have one, even a 2-inch works. Now, obviously, if you are like me, you don't really care that much about eyepieces, but you want to attach a camera. And then you can actually screw this whole part away and it's gone, and it makes space for one of these three. So we have a flattener, we have a reducer, 0.8, and we have an 0.6 reducer. So let's have a look at them now. First of all, we have the flattener. It's a little tiny manual in there. And here it is. So it is quite heavy. It is quite big. Everything, really everything is metal. I also think that's really cool. There's just no plastic on the thing. And that tells for me quality. And again, you know, the interesting part is this is all, yes, it all costs still a lot of money. But compared to the competition, this is budget stuff. This is around $200 or $250. So 1,000 plus 250, so for 1,250 you get a completely flattened APO refractor. And that's crazy cheap compared to the competition. And obviously the question you might have is, does it hold up? We will have a look at it as stated when the clouds go away, but when you look at the video of Sarah, quite amazing. So let's see how we can screw that on. So we have to take this off here. Then we have to screw this here off, the lid. This is how it looks like. And now we just screw that on here. And it's done. Looks great, looks high quality. And here we have then again metal, this cap, and here's where we put our camera on. And with this actually we get to a 700 millimeters flattened with a 6.8 f-stop. That's not too fast, but that's also not too slow. So that is in principle only half an f-stop lower than the FRA400. Now what else do we have? We have here the 0.8 reducers. Same thing, a little leaflet, a little cover. Now what I found interesting is that it is actually smaller than the flattener. If we compare it, it's quite obvious. It is just about half as long. Otherwise, same thing to say as with this one. Rock solid, metal, metal, everything metal. It's heavy, it's solid, and it will be attached exactly in the same way as the flattener. So you just screw it in here, and that's it. Cool stuff. And with the 0.8 reducer, we get to 560 millimeter with a f5.4, which means we are here already a tiny little bit faster than the FRA400. But we still have about half the longer focal length than the FRA400 with the 560. And by the way, the flattener and the 0.8 reducer are for full frame. Now I will not test them with full frame, I only have an APS-C camera, but theoretically you could use them full frame. And another thing to mention, you could actually enter here also a filter right into the optical path, which I would definitely recommend you not to do, because I just feel it's such a big hassle compared to having a filter drawer at the end, or even better, a filter wheel. So I would never put a filter directly in the optical path here. But if you have only a filter, if that's the filter you always shoot with, it's possible. And with that, let's come to the genius part, which I really find cool, and that's the 0.6 reducer. And by the way, also this one is for full frame. And I think the first thing when you take it out, it's huge and it's heavy. It's a kilogram heavy. And again, everything is metal. Looks really cool. So what I find really cool is how they actually made that. So you have actually to take out a part of the telescope to install that. We have to open here at least a little bit the brackets. Okay. And now when you actually look, you can see here a little line. So now what you actually have to do is you have to unscrew the focuser. Okay, that is out. Next thing we have to unscrew. And when you ask yourself why I have now suddenly gloves on, then you know this is a little bit the influencer part. In all the videos that I have seen until now, this was like, yeah, and then you take this part like do. The reality is this part holds like hell. So I really needed this anti-grip gloves to get it off. So no problem, now it's smooth, but the initial force was quite big that it needed to get it off. So now that you have it off, you can actually take the focuser and reinstall it, re-screw it in. So now that I have done it, the scope is now obviously shorter. We can now move the brackets a little bit back again, that it's Better. Really like here the way you can screw it in out, and you really need it because of all this stuff. That's another thing. So I would say it's a good experience. As you can see here now, this part, it's completely matte inside, so it's very well done that you do not have any reflections. That's also nicely what you can see here. So now what you actually have to do is we have to take here the flattener off. Okay. And now we can actually open this here again, metal, everything very nicely done. That's how the lens looks in here, so it's only lens practically. And then we just move it here in the focuser and screw it in the same way we screwed the flattener in. And that's it. And now with this 0.6 reducer, you get to 420 millimeters with a f4 stop, which is a full f-stop faster than the FRA400. And if we now put the FRA400 here again, it's when we leave actually the dew shield away, then it is not even that much longer anymore. It obviously is much thicker and it is much heavier. But from a length point of view, not that big a difference anymore. And that's why I said at the beginning, if we now look at these two in this configuration, they're still very well comparable. And from that point of view, even if you go for a 400 millimeter, this is a choice you can make. So when we look now at this side by side, what would be the pros and cons to make a decision between a FRA400 and a 103 APO? I think from my point of view, what speaks for the FRA400 is that you do not have a back focus issue. So whenever it's in focus, it's fine. No issues about back focus. And that's for me a big pro. But again, I'm lazy in that regard. Another thing is that quality-wise, from the reviews I have seen so far, while it's not bad, the 0.6 reducer still was quality-wise a little bit below the flattener and the 0.8 reducer. And we know from an FRA400 that it really provides good results. So quality-wise, if you want to stick with 400 millimeters and quality is your main objective, probably the FRA400 is the better solution. On the other side, if you want to have a fast telescope, then the 103 APO definitely beats the FRA400. But you need 2 nights with the FRA400, you need 1 night with the 103 APO with 400 millimeters. And that's a big difference, especially if you're in a cloud infested area like me. Sometimes I simply only have 1 night. And so I'm happy when I can collect more light. And on the other side, obviously, here you're much more versatile with the focal length. It's now galaxy season. I will use it with the full 700 millimeters. When it's nebula season again, I can use it in this configuration and have a fast scope to collect more lights about the nebula. So at the end, I think these are both very well done telescopes. I'm happy that I have now both, and I will continue to use both of them. Each has its pros and its cons, and at the end I'm just now really curious what this scope will really deliver when I will shoot with it. And as stated, this I will show you in my next video. I hope that was interesting. As stated, this is only the first of 2 parts. As soon as the clouds show mercy and I can point the telescope to the sky, I will do the second video and then we'll review the results. And that you will definitely not miss this second video. How about you subscribe? See you next time and clear skies.